Hello guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Thank you for tuning into the channel. On today's episode, I'll be crafting a character for 5th edition's Dungeons & Dragons using only one book, the Player's Handbook. So grab your Player's Handbook and let's craft an ultimate archer, Trickshot archer for Dungeons & Dragons. So tune along, let's go ahead and craft a character for Dungeons & Dragons. So because of the plague and all, I really haven't been doing a whole lot of in-person tabletop gaming. And I recently ventured into the online world of tabletop gaming once again. Now, years ago, in 3.5 and Pathfinder land, I played play-by-post, but that was totally different. Now we get to all play with the audio and the fancy graphics and all that kind of cool stuff. So for this, I thought that I would step outside of my comfort zone and play a fighter. Traditionally, I don't think I've ever played a fighter in D&D. Ever. D&D fighters to me are great for beginner players because you just go up and hit something. However, 5th edition has changed all that, and now there's some pretty cool stuff that you can make using the Battlemaster fighter in the Player's Handbook. So with that in mind, I was inspired to make a Xena, warrior princess, Wonder Woman type character for Rima the Frost Maiden. And because of that, I based her and made her a bit of a survivalist and a huntress. So that is what we're going for. I prefer characters that have a little bit more finesse. Even if that's at the expense of some min-maxing. So let's go. So let's start out with this character. We're going to start out making her a half-elf, which is going to give us a +1 to 2 stats of our choice and an additional +2 to charisma. So because we are a half-elf, our speed's going to be 30 and we will have dark vision out to 60 feet. Our Fate Ancestry will give this character advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. This character will also gain proficiency in 2 skills of our choice, and this character can speak, read, and write Common, Elvish, and 1 extra language of your choice. For her background, I chose Outlander, which means that she grew up in the Outlands, far away from civilization. So I kind of wrote in that her backstory was that she's from a half-elf community and that they traded with the giants, so kind of like a buffer between giants and humans, and she gets an additional language of her choice because of that, which would be giant. She also gets skill proficiencies of athletics and survival, a musical instrument, a staff, a hunting trap, a trophy from an animal you killed, a set of traveler's clothes, and a pouch containing 10 gold. So for the trophy of animal killed, I went with a snow leopard just because I thought it would make sense with her background being a hunter and a trapper. We're going to make her a fighter and a specialize in archery, which is going to give us a +2 to ranged attacks. All right, let's get into the juicy stuff. So for her stats, we did a 27-point build for our characters, and for that I put 13 in her strength, 15 dex, 14 constitution, intelligence of 8, left it alone, wisdom of 12, and a charisma of 10. And then when you add in her modifiers, because she's a half-elf, that bumps her strength up to 14, her dexterity is a 16, and her charisma now becomes a 12. She has a total of 6 skills, and she knows 4 languages, one of which is Common and the other which is Elven. For her starting equipment, we're going to take the leather armor, the longbow, and the arrows option, the 2 hand axes, and a martial hand weapon and a shield. And for the martial hand weapon, I'm going to choose a battle axe because you can use that one-handed or two-handed. Or choose a long sword and a shield if you want to go with some weaponry that pays homage to your character's elven ancestry. Seeing that elves are proficient with long swords, this makes total sense. Key thing we're going for here is a versatile melee weapon, meaning we can use it either single-handedly or double-handed. Now our character is going to have a relatively low armor class for a fighter. She starts off with leather armor, which brings her armor class to an 11, +3 for her dex. So she's going to have an AC of 14 or 16 with the shield. There are a few reasons why I decided to keep her at leather armor. Number one, I want her to be fast. Number two, she's going to be using stealth, and that doesn't work with a heavier metal armor. And number three, we're playing Rime of the Frost Maiden, meaning it's going to be very cold. She's a hunter. It doesn't make sense for her to be running around in metal armor in the cold hunting animals. And four, it's not very often you see Xena or Wonder Woman wearing full plate mail armor. She also gets 10 gold pieces from being an Outlander. She gets a trap, a token from being a hunter, and we're going to choose a snow leopard fur coat because we're in Rime of the Frost Maiden and it's going to be cold. Also, hopefully in certain situations, the snow leopard might give her some advantage on stealth checks, which she is proficient in. What other kind of possessions does she have? Oh, she also has a musical instrument because she's an Outlander, and an explorer's pack, which is going to give her a bedroll and some rations. If there's any extra gold, she's going to buy a tent. For her skills, we're going to take athletics, which is strength-based, acrobatics, which is dexterity-based, stealth, which is dexterity-based, perception, which is wisdom-based and also pays homage to our character's elven ancestry, seeing that elves have proficiency in perception. Survival, which is wisdom-based, and insight, which is also wisdom-based. So that 12 in wisdom is going to help us try and figure out if the situation is a little funny. Also going to help her with her hunting skills, being a survivalist. Acrobatics and athletics, they're kind of similar, kind of the same. My DM's been nice and has let me use acrobatics a couple times instead of athletics, so I get a little bit of a bonus on that. And stealth is really nice for her to have. Personally, I love skill monkey characters. I think they're great. So 2 of the skills come from her class of being a fighter, 2 come from being a half-elf, and 2 come from her background of being an Outlander. So our character is going to start off with 12 hit points. That +2 modifier to our constitution is really going to help keep our character around and be able to stick around in combat. And remember, kids, constitution is not a dump stat unless that is the flavor you're going for with your character. Even at a bare minimum, I think a player character should have a 12 constitution to get the bonus +1 hit points per level of your character. This build is an all-fighter build, so we'll be progressing through, I think this adventure module goes to level 10 or 11, all-fighter, and I did think about taking 3 levels of rogue for this particular build just to get the assassin and the sneak attack and the ability to do critical hits on a first attack, but that would slow my progression and would give us less battle maneuvers, which is really what this build's all about. Also, I love playing rogues, so for me that this sticking to the all-fighter class is my stepping outside the box and part of the exercise of creating this character. So at first level, we get to choose a fighting style, which we've chosen archery. We get second wind, which gives us a chance to get extra hit points. At second level, we get an action surge. At third level, we get to choose a martial archetype for our fighter. And for that, we're going to choose Battlemaster, which is going to allow us to have a variety of battle maneuvers that we can use to manipulate the playing field or use battle strategy and tactics to take care of business in a fight. At third level, you learn 3 maneuvers of your choice. Many maneuvers enhance an attack in some way. You can only use 1 maneuver per attack. Maneuvers are great because they give you strategic options to really manipulate the playing field during combat. There's so much you can do. You can draw aggro, you can trip people, you can disarm people. This is where the Trickshot archer really starts to take place. The focus of this build is to learn as many of these maneuvers as possible. So in the player's handbook, there are a total of 16 different distinct maneuvers. And by the time we're finished with this build, your character will know 11 of these maneuvers by 15th level. So essentially, what you need to do is go and choose which maneuvers you don't want to have, and then start mapping out at what levels you want to start learning how to do these maneuvers. I think this is what really separates a basic fighter from the older editions of D&D and something new. When you choose the Battlemaster archetype at 3rd level, you learn maneuvers that are fueled by special dice called Superiority Dice. You have 4 Superiority Dice, which are D8s. A Superiority Dice is expended when you use it. You regain all of your expended Superiority Dice when you finish a short or long rest. You gain another Superiority Die at level 7 and 1 more at level 15. Some of your maneuvers require your target to make a saving throw to resist the maneuver's effects. Our character's maneuver dice DC is going to be a 13. At 3rd level, we're going to learn Disarm, Trip, and Parry. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend 1 Superiority Die to attempt to disarm the target, forcing it to drop 1 item of your choice that it's holding. You add the Superiority Die to the attack's damage roll, and the target must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, it drops the object you choose. The object lands at its feet. So our character's maneuver dice DC is going to be a 13. And who doesn't like doing an extra D8 or a D10 or even a D12 of extra damage with each attack? And if we look at page 190 of the Player's Handbook, Part 2 of Combat, there's a little section that talks about interacting with objects around you. Here are a few examples of the sort of things you can do in tandem with your movement and action. And if we go down the list, pick up a dropped axe is in that. So you could disarm your opponent of whatever they're holding and pick it up with a movement and an action on your turn. That's pretty powerful. You can disarm the mage of their focus. You could disarm your opponent of their weapon. Bam. Our DC for such a trick is a 13 or higher strength check. Meaning the target of our attack has to make a DC 13 strength check or drop the item they're holding. Worst case scenario, we do an extra D8, D10, or D12 of damage. And that's still pretty cool right there too. That's a total Xena move, disarming the opponent and then picking up their weapon. The next maneuver that we're going to choose is going to be Parry. When another creature damages you with melee attack, you can use your reaction and expend 1 Superiority Die to reduce the damage by the number you roll on the Superiority Die plus your Dex modifier. This character builds all Dex. She's got a +3 to her Dex mod. So with Parry, you can deflect 4 to 11 points of damage with the reaction. Totally Wonder Woman. The third maneuver we're going to go for at 3rd level is Trip Attack. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend 1 Superiority Die to attempt to knock the target down. You add the Superiority Die to the attack's damage roll, and if the target is large or smaller, it must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, you knock the target prone. And once again, our character's saving DC for that is a DC of 13, which is pretty good. Student of War. At 3rd level, you gain proficiency with 1 type of artisan tools of your choice. So for our character, we're going to choose woodworking tools. That way we can craft some arrows in an emergency situation. I also think calligraphy would be a cool option just for some added flavor to give your character a little more depth. But since we're doing Rime of the Frost Maiden, I chose woodworking. At 4th level, we're going to get an ability score improvement. And when this happens, you can either choose to increase your stats or you can choose a feat. We're going to choose a feat, and we're going to go for mobility. Choose the mobile feat. This is going to increase the character's movement by 10 feet. And to make this even cooler, our character is going to be able to escape melee combat if needed, to go take care of business somewhere else, or even just to pop off a couple of shots with her bow. At 5th level, we get an extra attack. At 6th level, we get another ability score improvement, or a feat. And for that, we're going to choose a feat called Martial Adept, which means that we get to learn 2 more additional maneuvers of our choice from those available to the Battlemaster archetype. We also gain 1 Superiority Die, which is a D6. And this is added to any Superiority Die we already have. And that's going to greatly improve the number of maneuvers that we have. At this point now, we have a total of 5 maneuvers at level 6. At level 6, we're going to choose Precision Attack and Pushing Attack. Precision Attack is going to allow us to use one of our Superiority die to add to an attack to hit, which is going to be really nice since we got that extra d6. Let's say we miss by 1, we can use that d6. We're also going to choose Pushing Attack, which is going to allow us to push our opponent back. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend 1 Superiority die to attempt to drive the target back. You add the Superiority die to the attack's damage roll, and if the target is large or smaller, it must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, you push the target up to 15 feet away from you. So we're going to take that one. It's pretty cool and allows us to manipulate the playing field. Also, that's very Xena, very Wonder Woman, to go ahead and push someone back 15 feet after doing an extra bit of damage to them. Total Amazon. Since we're doing the straight up fighter build, at level 7, we get a martial archetype feature, which means we get a couple extra battle maneuvers. So at this level, we're going to have a total of 7 different battle maneuvers, and I believe 6 superiority die. Okay, at 7th level, we gain another superiority die, and we gain 2 additional maneuvers. So at level 7, we're going to have a total of 7 maneuvers, and we should have 4, 5, 6 superiority die, one of which is a d6. We also get to learn how to study our enemy. Starting at 7th level, if our character spends at least 1 minute observing or interacting with another creature outside combat, the character can learn certain information about its capabilities compared to your own. The DM tells you if the creature is of equal, superior, or inferior in regard to 2 of the following characteristics of your choice. And on page 74 of the Player's Handbook, there's a whole list of things you can learn about your enemy. Level 7, we get 2 more battle maneuvers. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and post all of the 11 battle maneuvers I choose for this build. Remember when I said earlier you get to choose 11 out of 16 battle maneuvers and just place them wherever you want? Go ahead and do that. You don't have to follow taking precision at level 6 if you don't want to, or taking push at level 6. Do what you want. But at level 7, I decided to take evasive footwork, which is going to give our character a bonus to their armor class, and also menacing attack, which is going to give us a chance to frighten the opponent. Frightened is a really great condition because your opponent is going to have disadvantage on all sorts of skill ability checks and attacks, and they won't come towards you. It's pretty cool. Also, by level 7, you should have enough gold to have boosted up your armor class quite a bit with either some studded leather armor or some bracers of defense, or maybe a ring of protection or a cloak or something. Try and keep this character at a lighter armor. That way the mobile feat, we can use that to the full advantage. So level 8, we get another ability score improvement or a feat, and for this we're going to choose Lucky. I really do enjoy Lucky because it's a probability mechanic, and since we're not really boosting up our ability scores, this will give us a chance to correct any mistakes that we have with bad die roll. If your Dungeon Master doesn't allow the Lucky feat, and understandably so, just add 2 to your dexterity stat instead. I'm a big fan of being able to alter probability in a game, and Lucky allows this. So if your DM doesn't allow it, don't get upset about it. Just add 2 to either your strength or your dex. Okay, so now we're at level 9, and remember, we're doing a straight up fighter progression build. We are not doing any kind of gish or multi-classing with this. So at level 9, straight up fighter, we get a +4 proficiency bonus, and we get Indomitable, 1 use, which is going to help with our saving throws. At level 10, we get a martial archetype feature, and for that we get 2 more battle maneuvers, and our superiority die increases to a d10. And at 10th level, we're going to choose Feint and Distracting Strike. Feint is going to give us a chance to give ourselves advantage in combat, and Distracting Strike is going to help our allies. So I think it's pretty cool. Now keep in mind, if you don't like any of the battle maneuvers I'm suggesting, choose whatever you want. Also, each time you get to choose new battle maneuvers, you can swap out one that you're not using. Also, each time you get to choose battle maneuvers, you can swap out a battle maneuver that you don't like. So let's say you pick one and it's just not working out for the type of adventures you're having. You can go ahead and change that up. At level 11, we get another extra attack. So this means that we will have a total of 3 attacks per turn. If we use our action surge, we will have a total of 4 attacks per turn. So she can be an arrow shooting machine. Toss on some superiority die into that. You'll be doing a lot of D8 damage. At level 12, we get an ability score improvement or a feat, and for that I'm going to choose Charger. The reason why I'm choosing Charger is because I think it works really well with the mobility feat. It gives us a bonus action to attack, and we get do an extra +5 points of damage with that melee attack. I think it just goes with her character. She's a mobile, fast, in and out combatant, and I think it just works really well. Level 13, we get another Indomitable usage, which is going to help us avoid those pesky spellcasters. At level 14, we get an ability score improvement or a feat, and we are going to choose Sharpshooter, which essentially allows us to reduce our attack die by 5 in order to do an extra 10 points of damage. That's pretty powerful. So she's going to be pretty powerful still, even with that -5 with the chance to hit. I think in 5th edition there really aren't a whole lot of high armor classes for the monsters. So that's going to be pretty powerful for her. She'll be doing a lot of damage, especially if you use those action surges and those 4 attacks. 4 attacks plus 10 points of damage to each attack is an extra 40 points of damage. It's just bonus damage. It's not even a part of it. It's just part of the damage. Okay, at level 15, we get 2 more maneuvers. She gets 1 more superiority die, and her superiority dies will turn up to be a D12 now. And for this, I'm going to choose Maneuver, which is going to give us some more battle tactics on the playing field, and Riposte, which is going to give her a chance to immediately make a melee attack. If someone attacks her and misses, she can turn around in melee and attack him back. Only works in melee, but still I think that's pretty kick-ass. It's like a free attack. I'm going to stop this at 15 because from here on out we're just following the fighter build. We do get an ability score improvement at 19, and for that I would recommend picking adding to your ability scores, or I think Tavern Brawler would be really funny, just to take Tavern Brawler because then she can punch things. But I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm going to stop the video where it is. I think it's gone on long enough. I think you get the idea of the character. I'll be continuing to play her. Currently, I'm playing this character, and she just got to level 4, and we just got the mobile feat. So carry on. I hope this helps you decide to play an Amazon Sharpshooter, Trickshot, Archer, or male version. If you want to play a male version, it's all cool. And like I said, if you feel like you want to swap out the race or anything else, feel free. I just wanted to open up this playing field and this niche and do a video about the Battlemaster with a focus in archery. Have a good one, y'all. Stay safe out there. Thank you for tuning in to watch this character craft video. I hope this has inspired you to craft a really cool D&D archer that can wade up into combat and take care of business as need be. Please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll be crafting videos whenever I feel like it. I don't really have a posting schedule, so I just post videos whenever I feel like it. Have a good one.